PlanetaXLive.com. Descarga la aplicación en tu iPhone o Android Market. Estás escuchando.
Hi, Jennifer Villarreal here.
Hi, Rocio Vallejo.
This is the Sales from the Heart Show, the place where business meets heart and soul. And we have a few different topics for you today. However, before we jump right in, I just want to say congrats to this awesome lady right here. She had an amazing event yesterday, and I shouldn't call it an event. It was more of a gathering.
It was a gathering.
Yeah, you want to tell our viewers what you put together?
Sure. So I put together a workshop series. Yesterday was the first one of a series of about, I don't know.
4?
Yeah, 4. And it's called the Midnight Hustler Workshop Series. And it is a workshop geared to creative business entrepreneurs. And it's kind of about, talking about all those not so pretty things.
What was the title of your event?
What do you mean?
Didn't you have something on the flyer? I loved the flyer.
Yeah, it was just calling out all creative business owners, those who are dreaming about those who have small businesses or dreaming about having small businesses, while they're working their little 9-to-5 gig.
Which is called doing the
What?
midnight
The midnight hustle. Yeah, she's totally throwing me off here.
Okay, wait, let me just rephrase. We're a little bit off today. We were up a little late last night.
Yes.
We partied in our own way by eating tacos at a restaurant. So we were up a little late.
Yeah.
But I have this weakness for tacos and cupcakes in the middle of the night. I know, it's crazy. But
And they were actually really good tacos.
They were really, really good. Let's give a shout out. It was in Pilsen, right?
Yes, we went to Del Toro.
Del Toro, yeah. Yummy tacos and fabulous service too. Our waiter was a lot of fun, or our server.
Yeah.
I shouldn't call him a waiter.
Yes.
Okay, so basically what I heard at this gathering were people that had these creative ideas. They wanted to get going with their business, but they just didn't have the clarity or the direction of which step to start with. I mean, they were overwhelmed with hearing things from family members, other people, like, hey, what are you doing? Or you should go over here first, or you should do this first, you should do that. And it's like too many people causing all this overwhelming confusion. Would you say that was like the overwhelming response for most of the people of
Definitely.
what they all had in common?
Yeah, definitely. And I think most of these people, again, it was geared to people who have like this nagging desire, like many of us, to take their business to the next level. But they had all of these issues, all of these blocks. They're keeping them from doing that. So yesterday's workshop was really about just having an open and very candid conversation about breaking through those barriers. And then the next workshop, will be a little more structured and, we'll go from there. But definitely exciting. I'm excited. It was something that I thought about doing about a year ago. And it was one of those things I talked about a couple of weeks ago that I haven't acted on. And finally I was like, I'm going to do it. So I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Yes. And shout out to my designer, Jose, because he did a great job with the flyer.
Yeah. That was great.
And I don't know why I keep doing this.
I don't know. We're kind of in a dancing mood today. A little goofy. Yeah. We'll see what we do later on as our producer just leaves us stranded here and we have nothing to talk about for about 30 minutes. So don't do that. So let's talk about the fact that you sat on this idea for about a year.
Right.
Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that? What was holding you back? Why didn't you move forward with this?
I don't know. I think it was probably a lot of the things that we touched on yesterday.
Well, they weren't there with us.
Yeah. So, so some of those things were, first of all, I started sharing the idea. What I noticed that I used to do a lot was kind of ask permission from other people, ask other people what they thought and if I should move forward with an idea. And so I did that, and I got a lot of people who kind of didn't knock the name down completely, but Rocio Midnight Hustlers just isn't a really good name.
It sounds dirty. It sounds like you're working the street.
Yes, I got a lot of that.
And when you mentioned Midnight Hustler here on the show, it was one of our shows that we did earlier.
It was one of the very first ones.
I loved it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we're looking for that confirmation from all these people, or we're trying to test it out there, but are they your audience? That's the
No,
thing.
and the funny thing is the people that were all showed up yesterday, I mean, I think probably every person was like, I love the name, do not change it. Like the name is what
it
got here
resonated with
me.
them because they
Yes.
felt like, oh my gosh,
That's
I
it.
do the midnight hustle
That's
too.
exactly what
Which
I do.
means, I'm working late night, I'm serving, I'm bartending, I'm doing some other things to bring in some extra money, but that isn't my passion, but I'm doing that so I can, get closer to that. And we talked about that too, about chasing the dollar a little bit.
Right.
But I think also sometimes you got to do those extra little things to get you there. I know you did. You picked up extra shifts so we can work together. You
It was so not fun.
yeah.
But it was something
you
that I
knew that
really-
there was you had to put in your effort. I helped you and gave you some ideas too and said, okay, let's get creative here. Let's do this. This is what we can do. Because you asked, you were open. You wanted to do that. You didn't just say, no, you know what? I'm not going to call Jennifer. I'm not going to be able to work with Jennifer because I can't afford it. How much is it really costing you to not move forward and sit on your unique blessings, sit on your unique gifts, and, be miserable, walking around like zombies, being depressed, having that anxiety because you're not doing what you are truly born to be doing.
Right. So that was one. And the other one was, what do I really have to offer? Questioning myself and my abilities, my worth, my value. And I reached a point where I'm like, dang, I have a lot to offer. No, but I do. And so, I think I was just really proud of myself. And I kept saying it yesterday. Before I would have really looked for recognition from other people. I would have wanted people to be like, I'm so proud of you. But I don't really need it, because I myself am proud of myself and the fact that I finally acted on something, Right. So, it was good.
Yeah.
It was definitely good.
And I think also a lot of times people think everything needs to be perfect or be lined up before you can
was
do
another one,
something.
yes.
You have to have a certain credential, you have to have enough experience, you have to have all these other things before you can do it. And really, if you just begin, that's where you start to get that experience and that credibility starts to build up. So that was another thing.
That was another
right?
thing, and I've talked about it multiple times on other shows. But dealing with perfectionism, I mean, to a fault. And I never was moving forward because nothing was ever perfect. The time was never perfect. The details were never perfect. And time just passes, and you're not accomplishing anything because you're sitting in limbo. You're waiting. And finally, I was like, it doesn't have to be perfect. But it turned out really well. I was in a place that I really enjoy, that I go to a lot. And it was full of things that I love. It was coffee, and it was a great warm environment, and there were lots of familiar faces. So it was nice. Yeah, definitely.
And you gave everybody a little treat,
Oh,
which was so nice.
yes.
Can you tell everybody what you did? I love these little personal touches. You didn't have to go out and buy a ton of anything super fancy, but you left everybody with something really special and from the heart. What was
Yes.
that?
So my grandmother actually helped me, but I made alfajores, which are
Can you say that again?
alfajores.
Which are?
So they are almost like a lemon cookie that's filled with dulce de leche and then rolled in coconut. But it's very traditional, and it's a very traditional dessert in Uruguay and Argentina. My family's from Uruguay. So I made those, and I put them in cute little cellophane bags, and then I had little tags that had really nice saying, and I wish I remembered it off the top of my head, but it was basically saying that we all come with our own experiences and talents and passions, and that is what makes us unique individuals. And now's the time. The world is waiting for us to share those gifts. So,
And we saw that in the eyes of a lot of people there, where they knew they had something special, and they just weren't clear and sure of where to begin, where to start. They were trying to do it alone, and to meet other people that could support them was really refreshing. And so again, of course, here on the Sales from the Heart show, we want to make sure that you have those resources as well. And so let's mix it up a little bit. I would love to hear what you're passionate about, what your unique gifts are. And you don't have to if they're kind of all over the place, that's okay, because everybody's telling us, hey, you have to, just do one of those. You can't do them all. Right. Send me a text message. Let me know what those unique gifts are that you have that are special and unique just to you, right? What you really enjoy. And then also include what is one of your toughest business challenges, or maybe it is a personal challenge, because our personal and our business are very much tie hand in hand. We're always told we have to check them at the door, and you can't mix business and personal and all this stuff. Well, you know what? It's who you are. And so, here at Sales from the Heart, we make sure that those get joined together as one. So send me a text message, what you really love, what your passions are, and what a challenge is for you. And you can send that to 847-903-3983. Again, that's 847-903-3983.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think one of the other things that we talked about was how we're constantly, especially creative individuals, constantly comparing ourselves, or we're always criticizing our work. And I read one time that creative individuals do that because they know their potential, or they know what is really great, and they recognize that they're not there yet. And again, the waiting game, you're waiting for the time to be perfect when you really just should be practicing and
take imperfect action.
Yes,
right?
Totally.
And because a lot of times, again, people think, well, I'm afraid of failure, I'm afraid of success, I don't know where to begin. And then really there's just stuck. There's that complacency that happens, right? Feeling overwhelmed. And if you say, oh, Jennifer, you know what? I just don't have time to do this right now. It's just not a priority. If you're feeling overwhelmed and overworked and you just need a break, then you're probably not doing something correctly in your business, right? We need to reshift, refocus, because you should be able to carve out that time to relax, that time to just embrace, that time to work on your business, not just being, so caught up in it.
Right. And I think when you lack motivation, I mean, what I found for myself was I was lacking motivation, but it was because there was no driving factor. There was I didn't have my why wasn't clearly defined. My why was my family. And although that's a great reason to want to be successful, there was still something missing. I wasn't really passionate about what it was that I was doing. And when things kind of shifted and I found that passion, like I'm just like nonstop. And all I want to do is work.
Yeah. That's really, really important. I hear that a lot, especially as I'm going through a business breakthrough strategy session with someone. That's one of the things the gifts that I give to them after an hour on the phone is that we have that clarity, we have that direction. You do leave the session feeling inspired and renewed. Right. And ready to be able to begin to implement. And sometimes it's not working directly one-on-one with each other. Sometimes it's like, hey, go get this book at the library, or go, connect with this person, or hey, you know what, you should really attend this event, just to get those actions started.
Right.
Because that's the thing, is we say, okay, we'll get to it, we'll get to it. And then before we know it, how long have we had some of these ideas? A few months pass, a year passes, and then it's been almost a lifetime, and it's not too late to begin. So I think we shared about this before, where, sometimes people think, oh, you just had success like this. Well, no, the concept of coaching, the concept of, having my own business, that came to me many, many, many years ago, right? But I was just so stubborn. I was so proud. I thought I had to do everything on my own. And that's not the case. I realized I needed to have that community. I also needed to have a coach and have that blueprint. And that's really important to create and map out. We heard this yesterday too, somebody talking about having a business plan. I'm an advocate of a non-traditional sales and marketing blueprint that I review with my clients. We find that that's kind of the fast track. And then if it makes sense for them to do a traditional business plan, then I'll point them in a direction of a resource for that.
Right. Yeah, that sales and marketing plan, it's amazing. It really is.
In the beginning, I think it's hard for people. Oh my gosh, I have to narrow down who my audience is, and I want to work with everyone, or I'm not sure. Right. That I hear a lot.
Well, no, I think for me it was the opposite. I was really excited about it, and I think it was just everything that was in my head that I didn't get on paper. And once I had it all in front of me, again, I was just like, wow, I can totally do this. This is so doable. And and that's changed and it's shifted a little bit.
It's
but
a living document, basically. We don't just do it once and that's
Right.
it. We, revisit it, we add to it, and then you can pull little pieces from that for your marketing, for your messages, for events, for, all kinds of things. So that's definitely something that I find to be really valuable even for my own business.
Yeah, and I think it's something I told you that that was something that I recognized again as things started to shift with my business, is I wasn't putting anything down on paper, and so there was all this. It made sense in my head again, but there was still some confusion. It was kind of choppy.
And your demeanor was almost like just, it wasn't so light. It was heavy. It was like, you were just really brief, or you're over here, you're over there. I mean, you just didn't
Right.
have that peace about you that you do now. That little glow. Maybe an occasional purr. Do you notice the theme here?
Yes. Meow.
We'll get her to purr later.
Because Valentine's Day is on Saturday.
I know. So let's talk about that. Because, before the show started, she said she used to do this like sultry little purr, and I couldn't get her to do it for
And I
me right
will-
now.
will
So in
not
front of
do
the
it.
camera, we'll see.
No.
Maybe after this weekend, as she spends time with her husband on Valentine's Day. So yeah, it's interesting because you'll hear in the Facebook feed, oh, Valentine's Day, it's a Hallmark holiday. Oh, Valentine's Day, who needs it? Or ladies' night out. And you'll hear all these different perspectives from it. What are your thoughts on Valentine's Day?
I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. Ever since having kids, I make a big deal out of it for them. So I'll buy them gifts, and they'll wake up to like heart-shaped balloons, and we'll make cupcakes. And my husband and I have made it about them. But I think in the 14 years that my husband and I have been together, we probably went out on Valentine's Day one time. And that was like the first year we were together. I just feel like if you love me, you got to show me every day, and vice versa. He buys me flowers every, so often, and I'll buy him stuff. And, there's the little things. I just don't think we need Valentine's Day to go all out. And then have you seen the restaurants on Valentine's Day? I used to work at a restaurant, a very popular restaurant downtown. And I had to work on Valentine's Day, and it was insanity. I think we did like 900 covers, and I was a hostess. And I remember just being like, this is crazy.
Well, I'm all for supporting the restaurant community. So I have a little different perspective on it. And I think it's just my mindset has shifted over the years on it. And, the amazing man in my life, Don, we're going and doing the restaurant thing. We tried to lure her and her husband out, and then
I was like, oh, we'll think about it. We'll talk.
And I wanted to go eat tacos at Tacos Tequilas. So I guess we can save that for another day.
Yes.
And keep in mind that you make sure you stay plugged in and connect with me on Sales from the Heart on Facebook, because we're going to actually have a gathering. So for all of you that are in Chicago, we're going to have a nice little meetup at Tacos Tequilas. I haven't told Jorge yet, but I'm sure he'll be open to it.
I think so. Definitely. Yes.
And you'll have to check out our video on Tacos Tequilas as well. We've been keeping that a little low key, but it's on the Sales from the Heart YouTube page. So make sure you check that out too. And Planet the Eckies, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Different.
So the restaurant thing,
Yes.
you don't really like that. Yeah, we're gonna go do that. I think, I don't know. I like to eat. So
But do you guys buy each other gifts?
No.
Do you do the whole-
So I think that the difference is for me is that how often do I get all dressed up and like we're going to go out on a date or something like that. I think we've got a little complacent with that. And wow, this weekend we're going to Black Tie Affair for Clearbrook, which is a non-for-profit for kids and adults with disabilities at the auto show. So it's a big fundraiser for that.
Nice.
And then Saturday we'll be getting dressed up and hanging out a little bit more local. But I'm looking forward to it. I don't really do the whole, extra stuff. But maybe I should, because poor Don, I never get him anything. And he never asks for anything. It's like he
Right.
doesn't want anything. And I think it's a good little reminder, But I think it's important to put your own little spin to it. It doesn't have to be what, Hallmark says it needs to be, right? It could be what comes genuinely from your heart. And yeah, do I think it's something that we should show appreciation and do on a consistent basis? Of course.
Right.
But, then we can start saying this stuff about every holiday. So I think it's sometimes a good reminder out there. And also, to give to others. I think it's really great to incorporate that for your kids. I also think it's really important for kids to see, to see mom and dad going
totally.
on dates, to see that the romance is still there and it's not just a courting thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's our topic on Valentine's Day.
that's our topic on Valentine's.
It was going to be the entire show. No, I mean, I think there's a little bit more here, though, too. From a singles perspective, I think it can bring up a lot of emotion as well.
I never got that. I don't understand that. I mean, I get it, but I guess I sometimes don't want to, like, no offense to anybody, but shake those women and be like, it's okay that you don't have a date.
How long were you single, though, for?
Oh my gosh, not long.
There you go.
Yeah,
See,
not long.
so when
So
you're
I don't know,
longing
yeah.
for that desire to be,
I guess,
with
yeah.
that special person,
I can't relate, right?
It starts to come up a little bit more, and then the older you get, people are saying, "Oh, what's going on?" Especially being Latina. Oh my goodness, how often did I hear this?
When are you getting married?
When are you getting married?
When are
Don't
you
you want to be
having
married?
kids?
Or don't you want to have kids? Who's going to take care of you when you're older? I'm like, oh, that's the reason why I'm supposed to be with somebody and have kids, But also I found, just myself trying to fill this void through all these extra things. And so it's important to know, we've talked about this in other shows, we don't have to go that deep today. But if you're feeling any of that, make sure that you reach out and that you connect. And again, that number is 847-903-3983. And no, it's not like a love line, okay? So I won't be, whispering poems in your sweet ears. But, just know that you're not alone, and we can get you connected with some other fun events. They're going to do something here at the Planet X studio, and
Yes.
I don't have any of the info on that in front of me, but just connect with me and we'll get that over to you. And then also make sure you check out the Planet X Facebook page. It's all plastered all over that.
And give it a like.
Yeah, give it a like. Well, we like you. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
I am feeling like this is going to be a short show today.
Yeah, it is. I think
Kind of like
so.
us. 5'2". Are you 5'2" or 5'1"?
Oh my gosh.
5 foot.
You know, put me on blast. I'm 5 feet.
You're 5 feet. Actually, we're getting some word from the producer right now, and he's like, it's only been 15 minutes. So we're going to keep talking.
All right.
Yeah. So some other topics I think that we can...
Well, I guess we can kind of talk a little bit about maybe how our significant others influence our business. Are they supportive? Are they not supportive? I think that's something that we hear quite a bit about.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as being too supportive?
What do you mean by that?
So my husband's pretty great. He's extremely supportive. I mean, I could say, I don't know, I want to start making balloon animals for a living, and you'll be like, okay, that's what you want to do. I support you.
Yeah. I think,
and sometimes I wonder, am I just really blessed with somebody that's like, follow your heart? He has put up a couple of boundaries, in place, but he's very supportive.
yeah, that's a really great point. I do hear this on occasion where I'll get some calls saying, hey, you know what? I was really happy about the year end and where my business was at financially, the numbers. And then I went to go share this with my significant other, and, they weren't as supportive. And let's say those earnings were a little bit lower, and then you have a spouse that said, okay, that's great, keep going. I think it's important to understand they're not your coach. Right? They're not there to know every single aspect of what's going on in your business, nor should you probably be sharing with them every single minor detail unless you guys are, business partners, because that can get overwhelming as well. So I think it's really important to make sure that you're connecting with somebody who can be there to understand what is your business model, keep you on track, et cetera. I think also we heard something like this last night too, where you can have a significant other, families, friends, et cetera, saying, hey, well, you should go do this, or no, you should get this. And then all of a sudden your mind can't filter through all of that.
Right.
So again, it's, what kind of support do you need? I think there's a different level of support coming from a significant other where, you might just need somebody to just vent to in that moment. You might need a hug, right? But then you should also have that community and that resource where you can plug in and just be able to have no judgment there. And thank you for the compliment last night. You did mention that, of how, I can come in and just not have that bias. Although once in a while she can get me to have that little tear in my eyes. But I think that's really important, to have somebody that you can go to in that manner.
And it's neutral.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, is people again always have their own opinion and their own feelings, but somebody that can just sit there and listen,
And when it's somebody close to you, that's where it's hard, I mean, I can wear my coach hat with some members in my family, but only to a certain degree. I mean, it is hard to stay completely centered in that. And I think that's part of also through some of the volunteer work that I've done, it's helped me to be able to just remove from getting so caught up into it, or removed from, carrying it through with me over and over. I've had to learn how to release that. But when it's somebody so near and dear to you, it's hard. And so think about your significant other, where you're telling them that you're frustrated or that you're tired or that you're overwhelmed. They're going to go into protective mode.
Yes. And they'll start making suggestions. Well, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's not really what you want to hear, because haven't you ever experienced where you're feeling really overwhelmed or unsure about the situation, like for one day or a couple minutes in a day, and then something shifts, it changes.
And then you start to hear a little bit too about the financial stuff that will start to come into play, right? Because maybe you're pursuing your business, and then there's maybe one sole person bringing in most of the income, and then that can start to put some pressure on your relationship. Or how about this one, where you feel a little guilty going out to a fancy dinner for Valentine's Day because your business isn't at the level that you want it to be. And then so you start to sabotage some of the things that your significant other wants to do or to treat you, or maybe you feel like, oh, you know what, we can't afford to go out to dinner. We can't afford to do this. And then you kind of get complacent. And really what I would suggest is going to your business partner your significant other and, hey, what can we do that's creative? What can we do that we can still have fun, we can still get dressed up, but we don't have to spend a ton of money?
Right.
I'm
really good at that.
Yeah, you can make
Yeah.
dinners at home. I mean, you really enjoy cooking, right? So you can do something like that. You can invite some friends over, have them bring a dish or two, right? You're hosting it. There's a lot of different ways. Everything is basically, I like how Marie Forleo says, figure outable. I love that. You can figure it out. And if you can't figure it out on your own, again, reach out, ask somebody, ask for some help, and just make sure that you're connecting with somebody who, isn't going to project their fears and limitations onto you.
Right. No, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all good tips.
Yeah. I think a couple other things here too is, how does this tie into business? We always talk about some of the personal aspects as well, and then I hear Jennifer, yeah, but how is that going to help me? Well, you know what? If you're miserable at home, you're probably going to bring some of that into work, or you're going to try to escape and just stay in the workplace, and then you're ignoring your relationship at home. Well, does that solve anything? Is that really addressing the issue? A lot of times we hear people just kind of, sweeping it under the rug. Well, it's still there.
Right.
And that's really important too, to make sure that you connect with that. And I think with Valentine's Day, with some of these, little festivities, holidays, things that come up throughout the year, it's a good way to reach out and connect with somebody else, somebody that you maybe have kind of pushed off to the side. And whether they respond back or not, that's on them, right? But I think it's important to make sure that we can still give and show up. Look out to the community too. Right. See how you can get plugged in and connected with the community. Look how you can maybe create an event, or you can start something. And even if there's just 5 people there, 10 people there, that's okay to begin. I actually have an event coming up in Libertyville at the Coworkers Link this Thursday. And what's the title of my workshop? I forgot.
Vampire.
Yeah. Dealing with energy vampires.
Energy vampires.
So I have like 7 events or something coming up. So this is one, but
that's one that I absolutely love the title.
Yeah, it's a really good title.
I love
don't know
energy
why I'm blanking on it
vampires
right now, but yeah. So basically how to avoid being drained from these energy vampires, especially during draining conversations, and we're going to give some 3 proven techniques of how to overcome that. We're going to mix it up a little bit. I'm actually doing this event with one of my clients, and she's great. She's has gosh, so much wisdom to share with people on a few different levels. But she's going basically to Thailand for a month. And she said, why don't we just do this when I get back? And I said, why? What for? What are we trying to push off here? What are we trying to avoid, right? And so then we decided, okay, let's just do this. And she's super excited about this, really looking forward to connecting. So if you want to know more about this, just go to my Facebook page, Sales from the Heart. You'll see the Energy Vampire workshop on there, and you can register through Eventbrite.
I think, how often do we all experience these energy vampires? And we've talked about it on the show before, but, even just friends or, family members that you have phone conversations with, and you hang up and you're like,
yeah, you feel the tightness in your chest. You feel completely drained.
Yes.
Maybe you run to the fridge and you're like, oh, I just need to eat this away because, it's just toxic, right? But you have to so-called deal with them because they're a family member.
Right. Or you really do care about them. What do you do when you really do care about somebody and they're not a family member, but you just can't, you see them calling and you just can't because you know how that conversation is going to go.
You see the patterns keep repeating over and over and over. In reality, though, are you enabling that? Right? Yeah. Are you being clear and setting up those boundaries? Is there a particular reason why you're trying to be that savior to everyone and be there to support them over and over and over again?
Right.
We have to have those limitations at times. So that's one event that's coming up. I have another one with Tony Robbins trainer. So Tony Robbins is going to be in Chicago this year. So we have a couple of those events coming up. And then the Women of Faith event, we're doing another one, but with a lot of requests to do it in Chicago. So we're having that coming up on February 28th at a Safe Haven in Chicago. And more information will be released on that later on today.
That was a great event. That was a great event.
Really, really powerful. We had ladies, this was actually up north at Trinell Financial Center or Financial Group. And it was just people being real, being transparent, connecting. We had several great speakers via simulcast that brought in all different aspects. The humor was great. It wasn't necessarily preachy, and it was good for people of all different walks in their faith, for Christian women. So
yeah, I highly recommend that one in particular because that one I have attended, and it was great.
Yeah. So if you want more info on that too, I can go ahead and send you a text as well, 847-903-3983, and I'll send you the links to any of these events that are coming up throughout the month. I think the other thing that I would like to encourage you is that if you want to start events so you can attract your ideal client base, it's not that hard to put together. Right. I mean, coffee shop like you did in your area, right? You can post it throughout the neighborhood through meetup groups. You can invite your friends to share that with other people. So there is a method of how to get that done too. But that's a great way. I mean, that's how I launched my business. I still followed, a particular outline and process to make sure that you can then engage and connect with your people. Just had a client do this at an event this past weekend, has already set up, several strategy sessions, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. So again, if you're tired of being the best kept secret in your industry, make sure that you connect and we can get you aligned with some resources.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, there is a model, and as long as you follow that model, it could be pretty seamless.
Yeah, and we'll customize it for you too. So, not everybody is going to work the same way. Some people don't like to promote via social media. That's not their thing.
Right.
But what they do like is via email or via text message or,
handing out those good old flyers.
Handing out flyers, yeah, old school.
Yeah.
Or what about actually attending somebody else's event who they've already filled the room and now you get to speak there, right? And there's ways of setting all of that up too. So I think there's a lot of good stuff here. We don't want it to be too overwhelming with all the information and the content, especially if you've been tuning into a lot of the shows and you're just like wanting to seek, get more information. We got to make sure that we actually begin to implement it too. We touched on this yesterday as well, I already know that syndrome, or, everybody heard that. There's a big difference of if you're actually living it, right? If you're actually implementing it. And so one step at a time, and we can get that going for you.
Yeah.
So,
I think, and then when you do that, you actually realize, wow, I didn't know. I finally get it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Or maybe I only knew bits and pieces, right? And you've been gathering stuff from this book, this seminar, all these things. But then we got to put it together and build that puzzle for you, right? And that's the most important thing. So again, congratulations, Rocio, on
Thank you.
putting together your events. You have
Thanks.
some other things in the works that we can't necessarily reveal yet, but at least it doesn't involve any business partners
No,
or attorneys
not
and
this time.
being disappointed by by
But
a couple of
nonetheless,
those things.
very exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah, things again that I had been talking about last year or 2 years ago that are finally in the works.
Well,
So,
at least you're not allowing those setbacks, to keep you there.
right.
Right. And we just continue to build, we continue to move forward. So understand that you can do the same. We wish you much success and many blessings. And again, we're here to support you. That number again is 847-903-3983. Make sure you connect on YouTube, Sales from the Heart, Facebook, and of course, Blend at the Eckies live.
Have a happy love day.
Bye, everyone. Blessings.
Bye.
Love day. That's so